this was our job and we built this thing and we're like, okay, I fulfilled the requirements of the documentation you gave me. You told me to build this thing on the README. I built it. I think it's cool. In the real world, in a job, what do you think happens after you, the developer, says, this is done. I'm ready. I'm done. It's good. What do you think the next step is in the process, the business process? Yep. What's the more professional, technical definition or term for that?
What did you say?
Someone comes back and tells you it's not done.
Yeah. Well, we would do integration testing as well, where we would have to integrate it within to connect it to the other part of it.
Right. Yeah. That word, integration testing. So, well, you may say like, okay, this is ready for QA. Has anyone heard that term before?
Yes.
Yeah. What is it?
Quality assurance.
Quality assurance. So, that's the normal workflow of businesses. Even the like smallest company, someone's got to be QA, whether it's like your boss who just runs over something to see if it's correct, or they'll have a huge QA department that will employ dozens of people, making sure things are built properly. So there could be two approaches to this. A QA person could like run your app and be like, okay, does the increase counter button actually do its job? Yes, it looks like that. Okay, yep, it's decreasing. Does enter special text do it? Oh, okay, whoops, no, it looks like that's broken. Does add remove user work? Yeah, that works. So how long, you might want to think like, how long is that going to take? How long is it going to take for someone to like run through this and check every single possible thing there is to do to test whether this is actually working properly? 5 minutes. Maybe. Well, I mean, that took 5 minutes or 5 seconds because I'm like, this doesn't work. Okay, it's broken. It's not done. Go back and fix it. But you might think, well, if I could have a computer do this for me, that would be awesome. I don't want a person to sit there manually typing and pushing buttons and looking, and like visually looking and saying, oh, okay, I noticed a problem. Or say, no, it's perfect, it's good to go. Whoops, but they actually missed that show modal doesn't work. But because they're human, so they missed something. So it goes out and it's broken. And your customers are like, what the heck? I'm never using your thing again. So luckily, you can program a computer to do the testing for you. And you might think, how is that possible? How can you program a computer to push this button for me? Well, because these buttons are just software on a computer. Anything a human can do on a computer, you can program a computer to do it for you. That's just in general. So if you look back at the advanced, what was it? Testing practice. If you had like explored it and looked in all these other files and folders, and you might have noticed that there was another testing folder or another folder called counters test. So you could look at this code and you might think, okay, what's enzyme? Has anyone heard of that before? Maybe you've heard it like on podcasts or something, but it's kind of an advanced thing. But this is a tool that allows you to program the computer to push those buttons and type in a text box for you instead of you actually doing it. So what do you think, if you just look at this code, not really understanding any of it, It still has like, this was a long time ago, but it has that describe and hit and expect stuff we learned in tests. So that was a while ago, but this is testing something. What do you think this is testing? What thing is it testing? Counter button. Yeah. We kind of see like, oh, yeah. Yep. Yeah, it's testing the counter button or the counter through the counter container, and it's saying if you click that button 4 times, well then something should say, like the words on the web page should say 4. And so you can look at the syntax, but we're not going to go too much into it. It's in the testing practice if you want to experiment with it. And it is pretty self-explanatory, but this is a very important tool. So Scott is proof of that because his company just started using this. They're like, we need to start writing automated tests because we can't afford to hire 12 QA people to sit there clicking buttons and making sure things show up properly on the web page.
Which is what I did for the first month of my job.
Yeah. So
Lots of fun.
So once his company built their app in totality, now it's time to write the tests. Like Craig said, they're sometimes referred to integration tests because it's testing how different parts, in this case, different components, interact with each other. So this one, like we have the counter container, which shows the count. That's like the label, which was on the right-hand side. And then the counter button container, which was the buttons on the left-hand side. We're testing how those interact with each other and that they interact properly. So once we click the button 4 times, in this case, the div in the counter button container or the counter container should say counter 4. So that's the integration of it, different parts working together. So I asked Scott to just like show what he was working on because